and welcome to a very special interview show of the Prode. In April 2025, India faced one of its most tragic terror attacks in Pahalgam, where 26 innocent civilians and tourists lost their lives. The Indian government accused the Pakistani state of supporting cross border terrorism and responded with strategic strikes on terror outfits within Pakistan. These actions led to a brief yet intense conflict between these two nations. The situation has since de escalated with what some experts are calling a ceasefire, but the Indian government made it really clear that any future act of terrorism by the Pakistani state will be treated as an act of war. To discuss this grave development and shed light on its strategic, diplomatic, and security implications, I'm truly honored to be joined by General Vinod Bhatia, former Director General of Military Operations of the Indian Army. Thank you so much, sir, for your time and a very warm welcome to the show.
Thank you, Retd. Always a pleasure and an honor to be on your show. It's very objective, very responsible, and I look forward to a good conversation.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I would like to begin the discussion by asking that how do you see the Pahalgam attack in India to begin with, and what does it reflect about the evolving nature of cross-border terrorism, and how do you differentiate the attack with earlier attacks that has happened in India in terms of modus operandi?
India suffered terror attacks sponsored, supported, perpetrated from Pakistan by Pakistan-known terrorist groups who are not non-state actors, but are state actors actually, because they are not. They're trained and equipped by the Pakistan establishment, that is the Pakistan ISI, Pakistan Army. And to put a date to it, this started sometime on the 30th of December 1990. That is the day when I put the start of the proxy war, and the execution of the Bleeding India with 1,000 Cuts, which is a known policy of the Pakistani army and the Pakistani state. This was said by none else than General Ziaul Haq. Right. So what has actually happened is over the last 35 years, the first 25 years, you find there have been terror attacks sponsored by Pakistan, started from Jammu and Kashmir, but then spread all over India. We had Mumbai terror train blasts. We had 2011 Mumbai, 170 lives were lost. We also had Diwali bombings in Delhi. We had Parliament attack. We had a Red Fort attack. We had attacks in Bangalore, in Ahmedabad, in Coimbatore, in Calcutta. So you see, it was all across India. It was happening in a regular manner. Right? Things change with I would say with the Uri surgical strikes. After the terrorist attack on the military camp in Uri, where we lost 19 of our soldiers, India, for the first time, had a strategic response to it, sending a signal to Pakistan that our strategic patience has run out. We have a strategic resolve to raise the cost and consequences of Pakistan terror attack. But however, keeping our own interests and keeping the interests of the world, we will demonstrate strategic restraint. Right? So since 26th of September 2016, we have had no terror attack outside of Jammu and Kashmir. Kashmir terror attacks have continued. After that, we had a big terror attack in Pulwama, which was on the 14th of February. And the response was on a precision strike on Jabba Top, which is a known terrorist training camp, which we loosely call Balakot. It's not Balakot. Right? So if you see that in the last 5 years, since 5th of August 2019, when Article 370 was suspended, COVID came to be. But after 2021-22, the Kashmiri people started witnessing the peace dividend. Right? So if you look at the violence levels in 2011, we had 4,011 casualties, including 1,024 civilians and 2,500 terrorists, and about 650 security forces personnel. And this came down to about 300, 450 odd in 2018, then 321. And now if you look at 2024, it was down to about 132. Okay. I had visited Kashmir last year, and for the first time, I actually saw Srinagar because I was a civilian, and I did stay with the army. I stayed on my own. Me and my wife went all over, including Pahalgam, and we went to the mini Switzerland with Pahalgam. So what I'm trying to say is, this was not in Pakistan's interest. Okay, because if you see, Pakistan has always raised the Kashmir sort of a bogey. And this comes 5 days after the chief of the Army Staff General Muni's interview. And the relevance of the Pakistani army is based on anti-India stance. So they could not digest a growing economy and they could not digest peace in Kashmir. It was not in, there's no parking anywhere to be had. 8 lakh tourists visited the Tulip Gardens alone. So that is the sort we're talking about. I did not see any security in Pahalgam whatsoever, or any other place for that. And this, and 2024, if you look at it, it had shifted to Riyasi. Okay, the bus track was there and all that. But this time there was a lot of anguish. There was a lot of hurt. The public sentiment, because they targeted innocent civilians, which they always do in any case, but the way it was executed was not acceptable to India. And India responded again, let me say, at the strategic level. We had a political end state in mind. We had political objectives in mind, from which derived military objectives of punishing Pakistan. And we acted against 9 terrorist camps. Right. This time, not only in POK, but also in Pakistan, including Murid and Bangpur. It was done very deliberately. Targets were well chosen. They were hit with precision missiles, precision ammunitions, and they were destroyed, leading to the claims on both sides. There were 36 as per the Pakistani, 100 as per some estimate, but that's not the point. The point is the strategy signals to Pakistan very clear: please behave or pay the cost and consequences of terror attacks. So I see Pahalgam as a benchmark. It has changed the narratives. It has tested the patience of the people of India again. And despite the nuclear rhetoric which has been going on for the last 35 years from Pakistan, we have now changed the paradigm. Nuclear rhetoric will not work. Nuclear blackmail will not work. Nuclear is no longer a factor in our response to terror attacks. We are not going to tolerate terror. There will be no terror in talks. There will be no terror in trade. And not only military action, kinetic action, India has rightly so even suspended the Indus Water Treaty. We will raise the cost in the diplomatic domain, in the military domain, in the economic domain for Pakistan's terror attacks. They'll have to pay for it.
Yeah.
So just 30 seconds. What I see is that Pakistan's low cost, high effect proxy war for the last 30 odd years has now become a high cost, low effect proxy war.
Yeah. So, following India's strikes, a brief Indo-Pak conflict unfolded, which a lot of experts also termed as a mini war. So, how do you view this development, and how prepared do you think India is for such escalations? And what message do you want to give it to the audience, and West specifically, who are trying to analyze the situation?
See, India is a very, let me say it's a very responsible, resurgent nation. We are a regional partner, a global leader. Right? We are looking at Viksit Bharat. We are looking at economic development. But peace and stability is a requisite for economic development. Peace, stability, and long-term economic development. That's what we're looking at. We are looking at the well-being of 1.45 billion Indians, which is 1/6 of the world's population. But then we have security challenges. And one of the major security challenges, irritant rather, is terrorism, and which targets civilians, which is not acceptable to us. Okay. So what we have actually told Pakistan is that if you continue with your terror attacks, you will have to pay for it. We want terror to stop, the tap to be turned off, infrastructure to dismantle. I don't think it's going to happen with one strike. It's not going to happen with Uri or Jabba top strikes or even off Sindhu. Right? It has to be a continuous process, and Pakistan has calibrated it well, I must say. They have kept things below the red lines, but at times they try to cross the red line and see the reaction of India. And India today is in a position where no political dispensation whatsoever tomorrow cannot not act against Pakistan, because the public sentiment is very important. We're a democracy. Any political party, any government, any dispensation will have to live up to the expectation of public. And that is the shift I'm talking about, that Pakistan has to be aware that the cost and consequences for any terror attack on Indian territory is not acceptable anymore to the public of India, to the people of India.
Yeah. So, coming to the, escalation that has happened. So, how do you view this escalation, and how prepared do you think India was in order to counter, objects coming from Pakistan, be it missiles or drones?
See, these are, let me put it very bluntly, I'm a former DGMO, responsible statement. These are war games. These are contingency plans are there. And we, like I said, we chose the targets very carefully. We did not target the military installations of Pakistan. We did not target the civilians. We target the terrorist camps. Why? Because we have a strategy of against Pakistan, which I would say a 3P strategy: proactive in terms of war, punitive, and preemptive. Right. So post Pahalgam, I put this operation Sindoor into the punitive and preemptive sort of a thing. With Pakistan, preemptive and punitive, and within Kashmir, it was retribution, getting after those 14 terrorists who had carried out this dastardly, very act of terrorism. Right? So that is where I put it as punitive and preemptive. We chose the targets, we hit them at night when civilian casualties will not be there. Okay. We took out those known terrorist training camps, including Muridke, both in POK and in Pakistan. And this was widely spread out. It was not a one-off like Jakarta, or it was not a surgical strikes in the Uri where we just took out the launch pads closer. And, Pakistan said they're not carried out operation surgical strike in Pakistan. It was right. It was Indian territory. POK is Indian territory. So this time we chose the targets well. However, after we chose the targets well, we ensured escalation control. Okay, as a responsible nation. How did we ensure escalation control? After we hit the targets around, let's say, the 23 minutes it took to hit the targets on the night of 6, 7 May, starting at around 120, 125 at night, early morning. And thereafter in the morning, the DGMO of India calls up the DGMO of Pakistan and tells them this is what we have done. And the Foreign Secretary makes a statement that these are preemptive operations, these are measured, and these are proportionate response to Pahalgam. So that is how we avenged the terror attacks in Pahalgam. So
Yeah.
escalation control always built in.
Yeah. So Pakistan's DGMO, like you mentioned, reached out to Indian DGMO for a ceasefire. As someone who has
That was
served
later. That was
as,
later. I'm talking about 7 morning when Indian DGMO reached out.
yeah,
That came later.
yeah.
Okay.
So as
This
someone
is
who,
7 morning. We told them that we have done our operations. We are only targeted terrorist training camps. They were very categorical. Then we did not want escalation. We sent a signal to them. Strategic signaling does take place during the DGMO hotline. But Pakistan replied on the 8th night with drone attacks on military installations within India. Okay, which were uh, which we were prepared for, and these drones were neutralized. So we have to see that. The next step was on 9th, 10th night or 10th early morning again. India now targeted the air defense resources of Pakistan, hitting it 11 targets first and 2 targets, total of 13 targets in a 90-hour sort of a total 90 hours. But this took about 90 minutes targeting the 11 plus 2 targets. Right? And when that happened, Pakistan was left without a air defense umbrella. Pakistan does not have strategic depth. So we had the reach where we could target Pakistan military installations at will thereafter because the AD umbrella, air defense umbrella is not there. Now comes the interesting part. That is the time when the Pakistani DGMO calls up the Indian DGMO to 3:30 or 3:25 on the 10th afternoon and asks for cessation of hostilities, which we loosely call ceasefire. Right? And India DGMO agrees to that. And from 5 o'clock on the 10th, the cessation of hostilities is put to effect, though it takes a little time. And fortunately, the cessation of hostilities has generally held out, other than firing along the line of action, line of
Yeah. So, as someone who has served as Indian Army's DGMO and dealt directly with Pakistan, how do you interpret this move? And could you share any anecdotes from your tenure dealing with the Pakistani Army and their DGMO?
Oh, it can be anecdotal, but these are serious discussions. The hotline is a very constructive confidence building measure. It has always been operational, including Kargil, and I think I was one of the first DGMOs to be invited with the Pakistan DGMO. I went across on the Atari Wagah border towards the Pakistani side. A very constructive arrangement, very candid discussions. On the hot air, candid discussions. You discuss everything, and we do resolve a lot of issues at the operational level, at the tactical level, and we do a lot of strategic signaling through that. Okay, so I think this is one thing where we have exploited this hotline to get to an understanding that we do not want to go beyond that. And Pakistan also understands that. Let's not, Pakistan also is a professional army. They do understand that. They knew that on the 10th morning, they were, the skies were open for us. And that is how things move. So I think anecdotal wise, yes, we talk to each other very openly, very frankly. Good talk happens. It is imperative, it is a norm that the call from the DGMO, either side, is taken as soon as possible. And the conversation between the DGMOs, not between the staff, as wrongly someone is saying. And if the DGMOs are available, the offsetting DGMO takes.
Yeah. And how do you assess the global community's response and support for India in the aftermath of this attack? And also, I would like to add that how do you see President Trump claiming to be the broker of the ceasefire in this whole situation?
You see, as a military man, I'm not really keen into the back channels or diplomatic this thing. But as I see it, the the call came from the Pakistan DGMO to the Indian DGMO. And India has denied any role of the United States of America. They denied it, categorically denied. Right? So I think if you look at the timelines and you look at the chronological order of the operations, whatever the operation is in, and from the Pakistani side, I do feel that this was between two nations. Pakistani army realized what is happening, they realized the vulnerabilities, and they did not want to escalate. If you look at it, even in 2016, there was no escalation. In 2019, when we targeted Jabba Top, which is in Pakistan territory, next day morning on the 27th of February, they launched a swift retort. Right now, swift retort, and I have served along the line of control where it was launched. The Pakistani fighter aircraft came across the line of control, came from a particular place called Lam, went across Nowshera, went to Naria, went to Pir Videsar, bombed something, and went out. And they didn't hit anything whatsoever. And that border is the most manned border along the line of. Along the road, there are headquarters, the ammunition dumps, but they did not hit it. Obviously, it was more of a face-saving thing where Pakistan did not want escalation also. So that is why nothing was hit. I don't think Pakistani Air Force is that bad that it won't hit any target on a, uh, uh, in the daylight hours. So let's face facts. Pakistan did not want escalation. And our aim, political end state we wanted was to raise the cost of Pakistan by hitting out at the terrorist camps. So we had the political end state in mind. From the political end state, we have selected our military objectives and executed precision. As a student of warfare, as a student of military history, I feel this is very sharp, very surgical, a very swift operation. And militaries the world over, if you look at the other wars which are happening, Russia, Ukraine, it started off, it was a swift war. It's been going on for 3 years. Look at Israel's reply to whatever they're doing, Israel, Gaza. So we have had the control all along. And militaries the world over will be studying how we executed, how we planned and executed this operation. May not be immediately because there are various narratives doing the rounds. There are too many narratives actually. So people are still confused, but clarity will emerge and a comprehensive study will be done by most militaries on how we managed it, how we planned it, how we executed, how we managed it. All three things.
Yeah. And how do you assess the global community's response and support for India? Because India's strategic partners like Israel showed in showed an open support as soon as India conducted Operation Sindoor. So how do you analyze this?
The global communities the world over, uh, they look after their interests. Let's face facts. They will look after their what interests them. It is not what interests the they do not, just at Bellum is with India. But they will not look at just at Bellum. They will not look at our just war. It's our just war. They will look at how does it interest further the interests of each nation, each region for that matter. So I will, most of, if you look at the global community, they have been either side. They were looking after their interests. So I have no doubts that this is going to happen. This is bound to happen, and they were more interested in the commercial aspects also. How the Western equipment and the Chinese equipment came face to face. They'll be analyzing that. They'll be upgrading that. We are looking at Taiwan as a flashpoint. We're looking at South China Sea as a flashpoint. So it is the West versus the Chinese equipment. Pakistan is now equipped with mostly Chinese equipment. We, of course, India is a great armed forces. We have equipment from various nations, US, Russia, 62% of our equipment is Russian, Israel, France, you name it, we have it. And we have exploited that in our conditions. Okay. So I will not take the global community, I think, but what the global community is worried about is terror connect. Most of the terror attacks, 90% terror attacks, have a direct or indirect Pakistan connect, right? Including 9/11. Osama bin Laden was not in not anywhere else but in Pakistan. So no one wants any. No, everyone knows that the epicenter of terrorism is Pakistan, and we have actually taught them a lesson.
And how do you analyze the role of Pakistan Army Chief and Pakistani establishment in the whole situation that occurred?
And like I said earlier, it was perpetrated by Pakistan, planned from Pakistan. So to that, no one should have any doubts about it, because where did the weapons come from? Where did the training come from? Where did the indoctrination come from? These are they were trained in camps run by the Pakistani army and the Pakistani ISL. They were infiltrated. They were using high-tech gadgetry. Okay, the communication gadgetry is high-tech. That is why we could not intercept it at a point at the in real time. So we should have no doubts that Pakistan is sponsored it, planned it, perpetrated this, and why have they done it? I'm, I'm giving you figures. Why have they done it? Because they cannot accept peace in Kashmir. Right? So what has Pakistan gained? Pakistan has gained also from this. So Pakistan had an aim in life, and this comes 5 days after the chief's speech. So it is not a coincidence. Coincidences don't happen. These are plans. Okay. You can blame India for intelligence failure, whatever it is. Yes, we have a large population. Intelligence failure, well, the terrorists have to get lucky only once. About 99 times when we preempt a terror attack, no one comes to know of it. But once, terrorism, the oxygen of terrorism is media. So they have to have a big attack to draw attention of the media. Then the media when it goes there, the terrorist people, how do you terrorize anyone? By telling them that this can happen to you also. And Kashmir, which was on a path of growth, path of economic development, the education institutions were open. Right? Earlier on, if you see, and this is all on record, and you can Google and see, stone pelting used to take place every year. If a terrorist was killed, his janazah was attended by thousands and thousands of people on the roads. There were strikes. Schools used to close at the drop of a hat. Education wouldn't take place. Right? There was no economic development. There was no tourism, very less tourism. But this is all changed. And that is where I think Pakistan wanted to do something to keep the Kashmir issue on the boil and make sure that the people of Kashmir do not forget that there is a conflict zone. Because they're forgetting that. You see, if my stomach is full, I have a roof over my head, my child is going to the school, my ideology takes a backseat. It is for my neighbor. Okay. I will not do anything more than that. So Pakistan will reignite the whole thing. How do they reignite it? By terrorizing people. But this time, what has changed is that the Kashmir people helped out everyone out there in Pahalgam and in Kashmir. They gave them shelter, they gave them protection. And then for the first time, there was an anti-terror band, complete Kashmir band was there. Right? So that has not happened earlier. It was against terror attacks, against Pahalgam. So that we have to see the shift in the silent majority, which is not for terror anymore.
Yeah. So I would like to conclude the discussion by asking that how do you see the future unfolding for both India and Pakistan and for the region South Asia in terms of crises and conflict? Do you see any further conflict happening, or do you think that better sense will prevail and Pakistan will not get involved in any sort of escalations coming forward?
I hope and pray better sense prevails. Right. But having said that, I doubt if Pakistan will give up its policy, anti-India policy and Kashmir policy so easy. Why? I'll take just 2 minutes and finish it off. The India policy in Pakistan is driven by the Pakistani, right? And the relevance of the Pakistani army, its political relevance, its domestic relevance, its economic relevance, because Pakistan army is also an economic, a commercial enterprise. Okay, 20% GDP of Pakistan is from Fauji Foundation and Shine Foundation, other foundations. So the relevance based on anti-India. Okay. And now you look at it, the chief of the army staff, the Pakistani army, has been appointed field marshal by not an elected government. It's not an elected government, it's a selected government. If you look at the Pakistan elections last year, this is not elected government, it's selected government. Who selected it? The Pakistani army selected it. On the 7th of May, the Supreme Court gives powers to the Pakistani army to try any citizen of Pakistan in a military court. Where does it happen in any democracy? No democratic country the world over does this. Okay. So I don't think this will happen. But what will happen is that Pakistan will lie low and keep it below the threshold, keep it below the red line. And we have called the bluff on the nuclear rhetoric, what they were talking, the nuclear blackmail. And the Prime Minister has been categorical that terror and trade will not go together. Going on to say कि पानी, blood and water, पानी और खून एक साथ नहीं बहेगा. So Pakistan is going to pay not only the economic domain but also in the economic domain. No trade, no water. That's what it is.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insights and for bringing such clarity to a situation that remains deeply complex, emotionally charged, and also geopolitically significant.
Thank you very much and Jai Hind. All the best.